Caitlin Clark just delivered the biggest year in WNBA history, and it might all be undone before next season even starts.
WNBA insiders are leaking that there is about to be a strike, y'all. WNBA insiders leaked this, man. We gotta break all of this down and get into everything. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. We are on the road. We traveling this holiday season. We gotta...
Notice that tone right there. This isn't offhand talk. That's the voice of someone who understands the WNBA is facing a situation it has never dealt with before. A possible strike. And based on what industry sources have now publicly confirmed to ESPN, this is no longer just talk or strategy. This is real. The Women's National Basketball Players Association has officially given its executive committee the power to call a strike on December 19, 2024. That has never happened in league history. So the issue isn't whether things are tense. The real concern is whether we could actually lose the 2020 and see it used as leverage against the WNBA. That's absolutely been a strategy I've started to notice.
Against the WNBA has definitely been a tactic that I have noticed. Here it says, this is a quote, "If you're so far apart as the union claims and the negotiations have not gone well and you have the right to strike at any point in time, why are you not striking?" one industry source said. "If it's all negative with no progress, what are you waiting for?" Now that feeds into the point where the WNBA came out and addressed the WNBPA and called them liars. They literally called them liars about the state of the...
That's really the heart of the problem. If talks are truly as damaged as the union says they are, then why hold off? Why not walk out right now? That question matters because the WNBA went public and essentially accused the Players Association of not telling the truth. Not in those exact terms, but the message was clear. The league released a statement saying it strongly disagrees with the WNBA Players Association's description of the negotiations and insisted they've been negotiating in good faith while putting forward fair offers. That's corporate language for saying, you're misleading the fans. Here's where things get complicated. Both sides are trying to use public pressure as part of their strategy. The union is turning to Instagram, sharing posts and statements to build support from fans. Meanwhile, the league is feeding information to reporters to shape how the story is told. And stuck right in the middle of all this are Caitlin Clark and every other player who just wants to get on the court and play basketball.
It's okay to strike, to me. One agent told ESPN, in some cases, walking away, saying no is a really good part of the strategy in negotiation. But not everyone believes the league would be more willing to come closer to the players' demands with the threat of a strike looming. Another quote, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is going to step in and say, "Ladies, we're not moving on this and this and this, but we will do this, this, and this. And we're going to get a deal done."
Adam Silver, the NBA Commissioner. That prediction coming from an agent actually carries weight, because for years Silver has been the WNBA's backstop. When the league loses money, which it does every season, the NBA absorbs those losses. So when negotiations hit a wall, Silver is the one who can step in and say, "This is the final offer. Take it or leave it." And according to multiple agents who spoke to ESPN on background, that's exactly what they expect to happen in early January. But there's a flaw in that assumption. It assumes the players are negotiating purely on logic. It assumes they fully grasp that without a 2026 season, all the momentum created during Caitlin Clark's rookie year disappears. Record ratings vanish. Sold-out arenas go away. Mainstream media attention dries up. If the players strike, all of it is gone. Caitlin Clark clearly understands how important it is to have a 2026 season. It just doesn't seem like every other player sees it the same way. Here's a quote that stands out. "So, it is still unlikely that games will be missed." That's a direct quote. Another league source added, "I'm not worried at this point about us missing any games." In other words, a technical work stoppage is possible, but missing actual games doesn't feel imminent right now. There's also an ESPN article with updates through December 23rd. You can see the date there. It's a little blurry, but the article basically outlines what people around the league are hearing about the W. And this is where things really get complicated, because not every player has the same incentives. Caitlin Clark needs a season. Angel Reese needs a season. Rookies and mid-level players who rely on WNBA paychecks absolutely need a season. But look at who's sitting on the WNBPA Executive Committee. Nneka Ogwumike is the president, and she's also a co-founder of Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 league launching in January 2025. Brianna Stewart is the vice president and has equity in Unrivaled. Kelsey Plum is the treasurer and another Unrivaled co-founder with equity stakes. You see the issue. The players leading these negotiations are earning millions from a rival league. They have alternatives. If the WNBA season gets cancelled, they're not left scrambling. They still have unrivaled salaries, ownership stakes, and a platform that doesn't depend on the WNBA operating. So how and under what conditions would the executive committee actually vote to strike? Nneka Ogwumike told ESPN that she views the Thursday vote as a way to keep a strike on the table if negotiations don't move forward, while also saying talks are still relatively early. Meanwhile, the WNBA has repeatedly said in official statements that it strongly disagrees with the WNBPA's description of the negotiations. As I said before, the league essentially called them liars. When asked what would actually push the committee toward a strike, one answer keeps coming up: revenue sharing. That's the core demand. The union wants a 50-50th split of basketball-related income, similar to what NBA players receive. On the surface, that sounds fair, until you look at the numbers. The WNBA lost money in 2023. In fact, the league has never turned a profit in its 28-year history. So what exactly would be shared? Losses. Here's what the league reportedly offered, according to sources. Guaranteed salaries that more than double current levels. Better travel conditions, including charter flights for the entire season. Improved maternity benefits. Increased marketing commitments. The average salary would rise from about $120,000 to over $250,000. Top players would earn $500,000 or more from WNBA salary alone. But the union rejected the offer, not because it was insulting, but because it didn't include revenue sharing. They want a cut of future growth, not just higher pay right now. Looking ahead to something closer to January 9th, the union hasn't clearly explained what factors, beyond revenue sharing, could lead to a strike authorization. They also declined to share details about how the executive committee would vote if it comes to that. What are the consequences of all this? Honestly, I'm exhausted. I'm tired of it. I just want a season to happen. I want basketball. I want to see Caitlin Clark stir things up and put on a show. Terry Jackson, the WNBPA executive director, is running the same playbook that worked in 2020 during the current CBA negotiations. Go public. Apply pressure. Make the league look greedy. Back then, it worked because the optics were terrible. How could anyone argue against paying women fairly? But this time is different. The league has the numbers. They can show exactly how much money they're losing. They can prove the NBA has subsidized the WNBA by hundreds of millions of dollars over nearly 3 decades. And they can show that revenue sharing doesn't work when there's no profit to divide. That's why league insiders are split on whether a strike will really happen. One source told ESPN, "I think a work stoppage by technicality is possible. I'm not worried about us missing games." Translation: there might be a short, symbolic strike for appearances, but neither side can afford to cancel the season. The 2026 season isn't expected to tip off until May, so cancelled games are still a ways off. But players could strike before then. If that happens, the consequences are serious. Benefits stop immediately. Team housing disappears for players who still have it. Health insurance is gone. Access to team facilities is gone. For veterans making strong money or holding unrivaled contracts, that's manageable. For rookies and minimum salary players, it's devastating. Terry Jackson acknowledged this in her ESPN interview. She said the union has been educating players about the realities of a work stoppage. That's union language for making sure players understand how painful this could be. Personally, I think the owners have gone as far as they're willing to go. I think they've compromised. They've adjusted their offers. And just like Caitlin Clark said, there has to be compromise from the players too. Getting a season played needs to be the top priority. I'm not convinced that it is for everyone involved. There are too many people on the WNBPA board who have equity in Unrivaled, who are co-founders, who are now earning millions from Project B. That creates a mindset where some players feel the grass might be greener elsewhere. They know they have backup options. But that leaves middle-of-the-pack and lower-tier players exposed, and that's the reality. So what do you think? Do you believe a strike is coming? Here's what nobody is saying publicly but everyone understands privately. The WNBA's biggest leverage is time. Every day without a deal makes players more uneasy. Rookies drafted in April 2025 won't know if they even have jobs. Free agents can't sign. Teams can't plan. Sponsors get nervous. The longer this drags on, the more pressure builds on the union to accept something close to what's already being offered. The union's leverage is public opinion. Their betting fans will side with players over owners. They're betting the media sticks to a fair pay narrative instead of focusing on an unprofitable business rejecting costly demands. And they're betting the league can't handle the PR fallout of cancelling a season right as momentum peaks. But leverage only works if you're willing to use it. That's why Caitlin Clark's comments matter so much. She publicly said both sides need to compromise and that playing a season has to come first. That's the franchise player. The one who drove record ratings and sold out arenas. If more stars follow her lead, the union stance weakens. If they don't, and the season gets cancelled, those same stars lose the platform that made them household names. It's a classic prisoner's dilemma. Despite all the noise and dramatic statements, there's a predictable outcome here. The union keeps applying pressure through January. The league keeps leaking details to friendly reporters about how reasonable their offers are. Both sides paint themselves as responsible while blaming the other. Then, sometime in late January or early February, Adam Silver steps in quietly. Behind closed doors, he tells owners how much the NBA is willing to subsidize. Then he tells the union this is the best deal they're going to get. The final deal likely includes major salary increases, maybe not fully doubled but close. Full charter flights for the entire season. Stronger marketing commitments with real dollar amounts. And some form of revenue sharing that only activates once the league becomes profitable, with clear benchmarks. The union declares victory for historic pay raises and revenue sharing language. The league declares victory because revenue sharing costs nothing until the WNBA actually makes money. Everyone shakes hands and moves on. What won't disappear is the underlying tension between what players believe they deserve and what the business can realistically support. The league has grown, but growth isn't the same as profitability. Selling out 17,000-seat arenas doesn't matter as much when those arenas are expensive to operate. Record TV ratings matter less when the media deal was signed years ago at lower values. The next media rights deal is the real turning point. If it reaches $200 million annually, revenue sharing suddenly makes sense. If it lands closer to $100 million, we're right back here in a few years. That's the real question. Do you gamble now for a better future deal? Or take guaranteed money and bet on continued growth? The smart move is clear. Take the deal. Play the season. Let Caitlin Clark and the next wave of stars push the league forward. Then negotiate again in 3 or 4 years from a position of strength. But negotiations aren't always about logic. Pride matters. History matters. Respect matters. So will there be a strike? My prediction, lots of noise, lots of posturing. Maybe a short symbolic stoppage in March or April. But when May arrives, there will be basketball. Both sides need each other. What we're seeing right now is high-stakes theater. The real concern isn't whether there will be a season. It's whether this process damages the relationship between the players and the league long-term. Because the WNBA's future depends on unity, players, league, sponsors, and fans all moving together. If this ends with bitterness, it affects everything. Marketing. Media cooperation. Public perception. So I'm watching not just whether a deal gets done, but how it gets done, and what it costs in trust. Now I want to hear from you. Is the union using its leverage wisely, or pushing too far? And if you're Caitlin Clark watching all this unfold, how frustrated are you knowing the biggest year in WNBA history could be followed by chaos? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more WNBA coverage that actually explains the business side of the league, hit subscribe. We're just getting started.